We're going to get this kick-started now. This is Pavel Bains, CEO of Bluzelle. And today we're going to be going through, I guess backtrack is, we've been working on the product for a good year plus now. We've never had the opportunity to actually show the community what we've been building, how it looks, the key use cases. And so we want to take this opportunity, since it's been a long time, to present this to everybody, get some feedback, get some questions, answers, and then hopefully start doing this on a more regular basis. So to get things started, just a bit of an overview of what we're going to be doing. First is we're going to really focus on how Bluzelle works as a data cache service. And instead of going through normal things of how blockchain works or decentralization, my assumption is that everybody really knows about Bluzelle, decentralized infrastructure, what it can do, the high level stuff. So we're really going to focus on specific use cases. So it really drives home of how this product can be used by the non-blockchain world and how it can lead to mass adoption and people really using this as a product. So that's what the goal is, to focus really on gaming as a use case. So if you find that I'm not talking about other ones, ask questions after, but really this is a goal. Another thing you'll get is the key problem area that's going to be solved with this. What we find is, as going to mainstream, a lot of them don't understand decentralization or blockchain. So our goal is just to figure out on core problem areas that have nothing to do with cryptocurrency, but is something that general technologists can understand and solve their pain points. The big thing that we're going to lead to is show early performance results of Bluzelle. So instead of, you'll have a nice user interface, you'll be able to see how Bluzelle operates, how its decentralized network operates, and how the competition is, and what kind of results we're getting. Then we'll also go into a short-term roadmap of the things that we want to achieve in 2019. So there's a lot of the stuff is we've written before, but we're kind of summarizing it up. I figured that'll take about 20 minutes for the presentation, maybe less, and then we'll have another, 15, 20 minutes available for Q&A. One thing that we just do want to point out here is that the results that we're getting are are early ones. This is meant to be in-house, show the community what we're building, we're on the right track, but these numbers aren't to be published as official numbers at this time. Our goal is that, hey, over the next month, we're doing more testing, more durability, talking to more people, and then at a certain point, we'll be able to validate everything and put out a published report around those type of stats. All right, so let's start with the main problem. I don't know how many people out there are playing video games or enjoy doing them like I did growing up and still do. One of the biggest pain points is that you're playing a game, everything's going along, but it starts to slow down. Now, it starts to slow down, you get kind of annoyed for a bit, you deal with it. It slows down more and more over time, and all of a sudden you're like, I don't want to play this game anymore. It's too slow, it's lagging. So if you're a game developer, the biggest problem you have, and what we mean mission critical, is that if something doesn't work, your product can die. And if you're a game developer, one of the biggest things is if it's not performing fast, your customers get annoyed, they leave, you lose revenue. So it's really important for games to be operating at the highest level possible. And what we found was that as games are going more global and they're not fixated to one region, so just the US or Canada, their audience is coming everywhere. And because current cache solutions aren't built for that, they're getting slowdowns and they don't have the high throughput that they need. So the big thing is that if you're a game developer and you launch something right now, you don't know where your next customer is coming from. So let's say I'm a game maker and I built it, I launched it, but I might be targeting, let's say, the US or, let's say some country in Europe, Britain, but the game takes off somewhere else. So let's walk through this. I built a multiplayer online game, something like Fortnite. Now, Fortnite has to have a database behind it, running it, where all the data is stored, the player's data, the player game sessions, the chat messaging. Any type of multiplayer game has that. So me as a developer, I set up that data center in Hong Kong. And at the same time, my cache solution is there as well. Now, all of a sudden, the game takes off in Western Europe. The guys over there start slowing down. So we call our tech team here and saying, hey, even though we were targeting Asia, the game's taken off in Western Europe, it's slowing down, what do we do? Well, now we got to find another data center in, let's say, Western Europe or the United Kingdom, replicate everything that we had before on that database, move it over to there, and have it running again. So we're like, good, Western Europe solved, the game's running fast, it's okay. But now we find out that that same game is taken off in Eastern United States. Oh no, what do we got to do? We got to do that all over again. We got to call up another data center in Eastern US, replicate that entire database over to there, and have it all run over again. So once again, what does that take? It takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort from the game development team. Because a game developer, what they really care about is focusing on creating content, keeping people engaged, have people having fun. They don't want to stay focused on being an IT team and having, taking time away from their game development time and saying, oh, we got to set up more infrastructure, got to keep things going. That's a big distraction and they don't like that. So instead of showing the, standard blockchain or decentralized model, what we want to show you here is a traditional setup of how a video game in this situation works. So what you have is you've got the database set at the bottom, you can see, and these could be a variety of databases that a company could be running. It could be MySQL, Amazon DynamoDB, Azure, Mongo, whichever it is. So now they set a data cache solution. And as we said before, the goal of a data cache solution is to store temporary data that needs to be accessed or gotten really fast without putting a big load on the database. So really it's to make your front end of the operations run faster. So they set up Redis cache in the same data center where your database is. You've got your devices out there. It could be a game console, a web browser, a mobile device. It pings the middleware that you see there, the API middleware, and that reads from the Redis cache and gets the information for the player at the end. So that's a typical setup. So now let's go to Bluzelle. Now what you see here is that where Redis was in the middle along with the database before, what we've done is Bluzelle is actually sitting at the outside of that, closest to where that customer is or that user. So you see that the game console is connected to the Bluzelle cache, which is one of the distributed networks around the world, the nodes. The game client is on Bluzelle cache, touching a different Bluzelle cache where that player might be, or if it's a mobile device, it's touching the Bluzelle node that's closest to them. So the big thing you see is we've decentralized it. We've pushed where Redis was just in the center with the database before. We've moved Bluzelle to the outside of that central database and made it closest to the customer so it can access the data fast and get the information that's needed by the player and keep the game performing at a really high level, really high performance speed. So the goal is that we have data servers set up all around the world, or nodes as we all know them in our space. So that means that instead of being in one area, we're in multiple areas, all at the same time, all instantly available. So that means that we're at the edge, we're at the closest to where that customer is. So they're getting the information the fastest they can. Those who are familiar with content delivery networks like Cloudflare, what they did for web content and websites, we're doing for data. Cloudflare is distributed all around the world. They push the content closest to the customer they are. We're doing that for data here. So now I'm going to go into the product demo and a couple of highlights just to point out of how this demo is set up so you guys really see that we're doing the exact same thing for all systems. So what we did was set up a MySQL database in Virginia. Um, Originally, when we were designing Bluzelle, we always said it'd be a NoSQL database, but when as a data cache, we can work with any type of database. So for that reason, we wanted to show that, hey, it doesn't have to be a NoSQL database. We can do a MySQL database in Virginia, MySQL database, and it's going to connect to there with no problems. Then we set up a Redis cache at that same database center in Virginia, because a goal of our biggest competitor out there is Redis by Redis Enterprises. So the Redis cache system always needs to be with the database. So if you look to the setup, there's a database, you got MySQL, and we got Redis in the same central database center sitting there. So that's along with the database. So then what we did was take that same Virginia-based MySQL database and connect it to Bluzelle. So remember, over here, what happens is it just connects to the Bluzelle network, and instantaneously it'll be available at all the regions that we have around the world. So going back, the database sits over there. We get it to point to the Bluzelle network, and instantaneously you'll see it at all those different caches around. And then finally is that same data object that we're going for the game player is accessed on both on Redis and Bluzelle. So we're keeping the same information, grabbing the same thing, so we can compare apples to apples of how we perform. So now, let's show how this works. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see this right now. What we have here is, so we got a player profile data of a player named Scott Birch who's playing this game. This needs to be retrieved for the game to operate, to get real stats, see how he's performing, him to chat with anybody, all that type of stuff. So let's just start with the country where we want to go from. Let's just say, hey, all of a sudden, this game is in Tokyo. And remember, the database for Redis is actually in Virginia. That's where everything's done. And the MySQL database is actually in Virginia. But now the player is actually in Tokyo. So way on the other side of the planet. So let's see how long this takes for a request. So the player in Tokyo is going. You see here, we got a bunch of requests, and it took 500 milliseconds for it to go. So now, let's turn Bluzelle on. Hopefully this works. And what does Bluzelle do? Right away, we came in at 187 milliseconds. So almost 3 times faster just on that one Tokyo bit. So proving that we got 3 times the speed of Redis just in that. And why that happens? Because we have a decentralized network that's sitting somewhere else, closest to where the customer is at this point. Let's pick another one. Let's say the game takes off in Mumbai all of a sudden. It's in India. Let's clear this. Let's make the request for Redis. And look at that. The hop that it took from the player in India to go to Redis in the data cache in Virginia was 726 milliseconds. Let's do Bluzelle. And, whoa, much faster, almost 4 times faster of using a Bluzelle data cache right there. So the player's getting an automatic, much better, much efficient, much better user experience. Now let's just say the game is in Singapore. Let's clear this, turn Bluzelle off, and let's see how Redis performs there. 727 milliseconds. Okay, let's turn on Bluzelle. Make that request, and look at that, 22 milliseconds. Reason is that is one of our global servers is actually probably situated extremely close to or within Singapore. So instead of hopping all the way to the US to get that information to the player, it's hopping to the local one that it sees on our network. So remember, the goal of Bluzelle, the protocol, is that it gets information request, automatically finds right away who is the closest node on the network, and get that information back to them. So you're getting 22 milliseconds there. Just to drive us home, let's go with Ireland. Turn it off, clear it up. Let's make a request. And there we go. We've got 220 milliseconds for Ireland for Redis. So it's going from Europe to Virginia. Not too bad. Let's try Bluzelle. Make that request. And look at that, 16 milliseconds. Once again, why? The request went to the network. It found instantaneously where the closest node is to that player in Ireland, and it came back the fastest. So this is more than 10 times faster, probably about 15 times faster than what Redis is doing there. So as you can see, as a data storage and data management tool of Bluzelle, using it as a cache is extremely fast, much faster than the people that we're measuring ourselves against, which is Redis. So this is really a good way to demonstrate where the product's at, what it's been able to achieve on our early testing over the past few months, and what we've been doing for the last year. Now let's go back to the presentation. So as a summary here, you can see that how Bluzelle does against Redis. So the big thing here is setup and management. A prior video that we showed before, I didn't want to go into that today, is that it's really extremely quick to get Bluzelle going. Pretty much one line of code, and you can get going with us. Redis, what we found when we were doing it and to talk to others, it's a really complex configuration just to start. And then when you have to manage it after, to update it, replicate another database, set it up somewhere else, takes a lot of time and effort. Bluzelle, it's auto-managed. That was a big key point when we talked to customers and network engineers, is the fact that we're taking a lot of the pain points of managing IT in the back end away from them because the Bluzelle protocol does it itself. Second is security. Bluzelle uses blockchain-based cryptography and encryption levels. So it's super strong, super resilient. It's all out there. Where Redis really wasn't designed for super security is really around minimal security mechanisms. Big one is, like I said, replication. Once a customer uses Bluzelle, they're replicated into more than 25 servers right away. Redis, you got to go and replicate that yourself over and over again, as we demonstrated. Availability, once again, you're global right away with Bluzelle. You just sign up once, and it goes right away instantaneously, so it doesn't matter where your customer comes from, you're already there. With Redis, you can only do localized setups one at a time. And then finally, for performance, with Redis, if the distance is really far away, you're getting a lot of lag time and performance goes down. With Bluzelle, you're getting more than 10 times faster. And we believe that as our network grows, as we get out there and we can deploy to the public, that they can easily join and add on their servers, the product will just get faster and faster. So as this demonstrates, is our goal is the network grows, we cover more of the globe and get faster performance, because we want to go from not just 25 servers, but potentially thousands of servers or hundreds of thousands of servers. So it's almost instantaneously fast, real time for everybody all the time. So for 2019, the main things we want to achieve are, first is have capacity of the network to grow. So what does that mean? We have to have our nodes available that all the members of the public, all our token holders can sit there, turn their computers on and be a resource for us for our solution. Big one is to support top programming languages. So that means right now we're really on, JavaScript, but we're going to add C#, Python, C++, all these ones that you see here. So that way that anybody working on any type of software product can use Bluzelle. So really it's mainly about making things easier for more customers to come on. We want the payment model fully set up that token suppliers can get paid and earn BLZ token for being part of the network. And then finally is, the big one is having service level agreements on the swarms, which include different things. Like one of the big things that we find out potential customers are, they need their data storage done in a certain region. They can't get out of there. So they need geofencing. So we can say, hey, we'll lock down, you can get the benefits of a decentralized system, but we'll keep it to, let's say, Southeast Asia or within Indonesia, down to that level. Another cool thing over the last couple of months is a new hire we brought in, Jarko Hedek. He's just joined the team. He has a PhD in computer science. We brought him on. He's got a big background in building engines and comp sci. His current focus for us is really to research out how most efficiently to build out those language support and get that out there. So we don't want to start over from scratch each time to support each one. We want to be able to spin up new languages that we need to support and put them out there. And then as we grow and we want to support different blockchains themselves, be able to do that. So if you're a developer or want to go more into this stuff, the best way to get started is with the current beta out there is go to docs.bluzelle.com. You'll get full instructions on there. It'll walk you right through everything about the product, the use case, how to set up, and instructions, and our videos will be on there as well. If you want to deploy Bluzelle directly, you can go to the link there, bluzelle.com, #GetStarted section. And if you're on Heroku, easy enough, you can find us in the Heroku marketplace and really just click on Bluzelle, and if you're familiar, you can just get started. So these are all really for people to get going, play with the system a bit while we're getting it ready for a full commercial release. Let's see, a call to action. What we like from the community is really, at this point, while we're hardening up the code base, is to start engaging with more game companies. So the best thing to do is actually tweet at your favorite game company, contact them, and get them to check out Bluzelle. A sample I wrote here is, hey, let them know what your pain point is. When I play your game, it slows down and I get annoyed. Check out Bluzelle to make it run faster around the world at bluzelle.com. And because I'm a big Top Gun fan, let's put on the hashtag feel the need for speed. So this is a good way to get some of the games that you guys play or developers that you like to support game developers, for them to come check out Bluzelle, and we can get them into our pipeline. So that's everything for the webinar, the demo. Right now, let's focus on answering questions. So one of the questions asked is BLZ used in every operation? Yes, so once the system goes live, BLZ is used by all the people on all the nodes in our network. So once again, goal is customer pays, use a service, whoever was part of where that storage was done, and how much we charge that customer. Part of that revenue goes down as BLZ to the supplier. Let's see if get the next questions. Oh, I see one here that says, how does it find the closest server? That's something that is built into the protocol. We can get into the technical details later, but really we've shown this on other charts before where the request is made to the network, through our technology, it really scans out super fast that, okay, which region is this request coming from, who is the closest, identifies which particular node on that swarm it's closest to, and pings back that information. So this is stuff that we're really, took the expertise of the team to build out. Let's see, the next question is, oh yeah, so the question is will people hope that this becomes standard practice for us to broadcast and get more engagement to the community, showing what we've been building, what we've been working hard on. So we do plan to make this more regular when we have some new key things to show off, publish new results, maybe other specific parts of the technology that we've built that we think helps the whole community. We'll be doing that. So we want to do that not just with myself. We'll have Neeraj, maybe other members of our team, like head of product Andrew, maybe people involved in research, to come in and answer demonstrate some of those things as well. Other thing you guys might notice on the group chat is Neeraj, CTO, Andrew, head of product development are on there. So they're answering some questions as we go at the same time. Let's see, a question is Bluzelle, will Bluzelle always be an ERC20 token or plan to convert to some other high throughput blockchain like Zilliqa to adopt? So Bluzelle itself is an ERC20 token because it's easiest for people to use, get there. From our, what we've always stated is internally we have our own token called the BNT token, but that's used just on the network side, so transactions and everything can stay fast. But as far as public payouts and how people pay us will be through the BLZ ERC20 token for now. We have no plans to immediately change that to a different blockchain unless we see a real need to. Our goal is that as other dApps, we move away from games and decentralized applications start using us as a cash and need to, they'll be on other blockchains that will integrate directly through those blockchains. And by that time, interoperability should be there. That token should be able to swap out with no issue. Oh, so here's a good question. What's the impact of future 5G or 6G networks on Bluzelle? Really good question. Last week I was actually at a gaming event, and they were talking about 5G coming in. And what 5G actually does is create a good opportunity because one of the problem areas that came up was that being able to deliver. You have 5G networks, you can have actually more data coming in. But the thing is that it could cause congestion, and how are they going to structure that data so it can actually get to people faster? So one of the solutions is that we've been talking about is actually edge solutions, data closest to the user, basically what we're building here. So what we see is a fundamental area that we can actually help those telecom networks and saying that, hey, Bluzelle system is actually going to help those things run faster. So in the next coming weeks, it's a good thing that you guys brought up. We'll probably do a blog post around that and then just identify how Bluzelle relates to 5G and 6G networks. I'm just looking at other questions coming up. Any others from the community? We've got questions pinging directly to us through our Telegram and Twitter handles. So I'm just getting those at the same time. It says, which companies are scheduled to test the product in the next few weeks? So those we can't announce yet. We're in the game space. Like I said, we're in talks with them, showing a bunch of network engineers how the product was working. What we had designed on paper. Now we can demonstrate how it really works, how they can connect. So our goal is to get a bunch of those companies to sign on to the pilot and be able to take their real games and measure real results. So when that comes and we get all those, we will be doing a more formal announcement of that with everybody's buy-in from those companies and showing some of those the data points that we can reveal. Oh, here's a question. Are we partnering with any big companies that have announced their recent things? So I think from here, people are really referring to some of the gaming platforms that are coming out, cloud-based gaming, such as people have heard from Google, Tencent, others. Uh, for those companies, the main thing is cloud-based gaming is still just another device. That's how we see it. It's just like an Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, or an iPhone or Android device. Uh, they're still going to need gaming performance at a global level. They're going to need high performance because customers come from different places. So our goal is that once we can demonstrate that how our product works, how fast it is, we got some real customers, makes us stronger to go to those companies and say, hey, you guys should integrate us on there as well, or push us to people making games on your cloud-based gaming systems and have it run through us. So that's another target market that we just go after. I guess the bigger thing is what that shows is how big of a space gaming is, video gaming, and how it's just going to get bigger and bigger. And when you have companies like cloud-based gaming coming through from Google, it just shows to the market that the space is growing tons, more people are coming on, and the need for fast performance is going to be even more critical. So all that stuff is really great for us. Let's see, one question is how our pricing compares to See a Coin. That I can't address directly. What we have to do for us as a cash solution is when we talk to end customers is how do we compare to to our closest competitor in that space or what they're using. So whether they're using Redis Cash through Amazon or through Microsoft, how does our pricing come there? We believe we'll be very in line with them. What we can do is offer same pricing potentially, but with much better features. So what we've always said is give enterprise features at a price that every developer can afford regardless of size. One of the big things from there is pricing is important, but what really matters is performance, what the value of that customer is getting, and the fact that it's auto-managed, taking away some pain points, but making sure the price is competitive. Like obviously we can't charge more because that's a turnoff, but if we can be competitively priced but offer much better features, that's a big win. So it's hard to compare us to, let's say, See a Coin pricing. What I want to focus is what are our target customers, what are they currently using, and how do we compete against that? And really that's on performance and management levels. Great questions. Let's see, another one coming up is, oh, that's a nice one. How long, so a big question from one of the people in the Chinese community is, have we tested how long it takes to update all 25 nodes globally? So our different way to answer that, what happens is that when a company comes on, a customer, and they point to us, as soon as they point to our servers and upload, let's say, the reads that have to be done the first time, whether it updates to 1 or 25, it's irrelevant to us. It just happens all at the same time. So that's why we say is that you have instant global availability. It's not going one after another. You're updating to the Bluzelle protocol, and where those protocols sits or the endpoints are all over the world. So you just do it once and it's already there instantaneously. Let's see if there's more. Oh, yeah, some more are coming up. Oh, good one is how does it compare to a CDN? So a CDN is a content delivery network. If you guys are familiar to the space, is big ones out there are Cloudflare and Akamai. Funny enough, is we always get that parallel when we talk to potential customers. They ask us, "Oh, how is so you guys are pretty much like Cloudflare and Akamai, but for data." That's exactly it. So, with a content delivery network or a Cloudflare Akamai, what they do is, as websites started, as more of the world started going onto the internet, and websites had to be like we're saying here. My website might be hosted in Canada, but I got people accessing it in Johannesburg. Well, there's a slowdown for that web content, the pictures and everything to load up. So a content delivery network like Cloudflare basically pushes to the edge and saying, hey, the regular content that needs to be gotten to, we can get it right away and loads up faster. So that's really specific to websites and web content like pictures, text, things like that. What we're doing is, almost can call us a DDN, a data delivery network, where we're taking the data behind the application. So, like I said, here we're talking about gaming data. We're pushing that closest to the edge. So at a high level, very similar to how Cloudflare is, that they're distributed, they're all over the world. They got a bunch of servers over there, and they're pushing content, web content, like website information, right to the user. What we're focusing is on application software, specifically data behind the software or games, straight to the user. Let's see, the next question is, okay, so one of the questions is the total supply of BLZ is 500 million. As you can see, we have less than half out there right now. Right now, there's no immediate plans to release the whole supply. You go with our mandate, or what we had always designed was we were giving out more to the community to start up. One way we kick out customer acquisition once the product's fully ready out there. We've got the team that gets it, which vests over time. So there's no immediate plans to all of a sudden all of that come out there. We've been really focused on the product and probably use some of those tokens to give free access to the first customers so they can get going, much like how Dropbox did when they first started. Just getting another question sent over here. Just hold on. So one of the questions is, besides setting up new data centers globally, aren't there other current solutions that solve the problem? Right now, you actually, like I said, what happens with Redis and everything, you actually have to do it one by one. The reason this works, and the only reason we believe that we're able to do this, is because of what all of us are in this space for, is what we've learned from blockchain and decentralization. Without decentralization, this stuff doesn't work where you can be globally replicated instantaneously, have consensus that all the data is the right data at each place, all the nodes are acting in great faith. So everything that we've learned from cryptocurrencies and blockchain is being applied to this. So I think unless you do a decentralized model, you can't get what we are doing. It would just be the traditional centralized model of doing one by one and hoping that the speeds, internet speeds, or those servers or the technology there at that one place gets faster. To do what we're doing, it has to be decentralized. what kind of hardware is expected to be required to run a node? I think Neeraj has already just answered that there. Our goal is that we want it to be as simple as your basic laptop you have at home. You can do it. It's not, remember the thing is we're not mining, so it doesn't require tons of operating system performance, tons of energy being used. It's just taking key data that's stored on the simplest laptop out there. How do we plan to market BLZ or marketing activities? So right now, the goal is really focused on customer adoption, getting those out there. We find that the biggest thing results are when you have real customers or real partnerships that are using the product or plan to use the product. That gets everybody, that brings in more customers and builds more of a community and excitement around what we're doing. So the goal right now is, like I say, kick off right now of doing this initial webinar with you guys, get some of that content, distribute it out there. Over the next month, harden the code base, put it onto certain channels where game developers or end users will be, get that going, sign up customers, release that through multiple channels, not just in the crypto space, but also in the non-crypto space. Because the goal is, as you guys have been hearing from everybody, is mass adoption of our products, whether it's cryptocurrency based or infrastructure based or even like games out there. We need mass adoption. So the real goal is getting that out there and building up that groundswell that this product really works and is getting real results. So that's how, and we'll do that through a number of channels, through online, going to key events where the target customers are, and those are really the main key areas. Developer channels and real partnerships where other companies who are selling, let's say, database solutions or services, they can go on and sell our product as well. Next question. How much data can a node store? That is all really dependent on how much storage is available on that node. So if you partition your node to have, let's just say it's got 300 gigabytes of data, and you go, I want to make available 50 gigabytes, that's what it'll be able to store. If you say, hey, only 10 gigabytes are available, then that's what it does. What our product will do is, for a certain customer, how much data is required from them will just be evenly split amongst different places. So it's really going to be about what does that particular node itself want to be able to handle. Sorry, I'm trying to find another question here. Let's see, are we targeting more of mobile gaming platforms or desktop gaming, or is it agnostic? This is really cool. It actually doesn't matter. What matters is the game that's being used, and as long as they're going, let's say, most of them are multiplayer based, need high real-time data interaction. So whether it's, let's say FIFA, a multiplayer game like Call of Duty, or even a mobile, a simpler mobile game, specific mobile game. It doesn't matter, we're agnostic because all of them need high throughput, high performance on a global level. So it doesn't matter if we're targeting mobile games or console games or PC-based games. Games are games. As long as they're going for a global audience, they need solutions like ours. Let's see, any more questions coming up? I think we've got just another couple minutes left for this. So if there's any more questions, we can answer those. If we weren't able to answer some questions or you didn't want to ask there, you could, message us directly, direct message us on Twitter. we can get that, we can answer back, or we can get a collection of them and do a blog post that answers a bunch of them as well. Oh, one of the things that people have asked us before is, will we make this available online? Yes, we will. We'll take the key parts of it and make it publicly available. So people who weren't able to make the event, they can. We'll send it out so you can share it with your friends and say, hey, go check out how Bluzelle works and how it operates. And hopefully we can get more awareness and get more people coming to test the product and more potential customers. Let's see, one question that came up is, how do we ensure data consistency between Bluzelle and MySQL, the MySQL database? Well, because just like a data cache, it is really about mirroring the information we want to there. So just like how Redis does it and it keeps it consistent, ours is the same, uses the same basically technology or infrastructure behind. I think the better question is, how do we ensure consistency amongst all the nodes? So as more people join up, how do we know that they're acting in good faith or a good actor on our network? So from there, we'll do blog posts about this later, but the team has built its own consensus algorithm that draws everybody in, shows how, basically a consensus algorithm that makes sure that that node has the right information, is retrieving it and updating everything consistently. People who aren't, we can identify early and we can knock them out of the system. So that way we keep the integrity of the network right there. Question is, I'll take two more. So one is, any specific dates of the release of this product? Not yet. Our goal is still in line for mid-May, so that way we can be ready to get more customers and actually be a full working product that's well tested, that customers that we're talking to right now can onboard and we can put out there. Right now, we're currently hardening the code base, testing the back end, seeing the results that you guys saw right now, that we can actually publish those and say, hey, we really stand by these. It works fully, and there's no questions from, if you're a CTO at a game company or a network engineer, you want to have the assuredness that those results we're getting are already there. So that's what we're really focused on in the next couple of weeks, making sure that's true. And I think one last question, and then we'll wrap it up. All right. One last question was from the trans community about JD, Ding Dong, because we were part of their early group last year of when they were testing out blockchain things. As our product, at that time, our product was really early, didn't have, it was just coming along. As we've developed now further, we're going to be talking to a bunch of the cloud-based companies just about what we offer, and as they offer, data solutions, databases, data caches, we see those type of companies being distribution points, that if we can show our product works well, we have an identified customer base, and they say, hey, we can bring you guys, we can get game customers or other streaming media companies. We see those as distribution partners for sales. And that wraps up all our questions.